still... Am I in all messages? There we go. Well, folks, I hope everyone's doing well today. Really quick, I'm going to keep this one short while I'm trying to navigate my way out of this cemented parking garage I'm in. I hate to say it, but our society as a whole is kind of reaping what we sowed. Not us individually, but our society as a whole. So today, of course, one of the guys in the veterans group sends me a meme with some OnlyFans girl that says, I just broke a Guinness record of however many sex partners in 24 hours. I think it was 100 or something like that. And I don't know physically if that's even possible. Like, wouldn't they run out of time if, like, the guys were tripping on each other trying to do whatever they were doing? And I'm reading this. So first I'm laughing, right? Because it came from one of the guys who's notorious for being a shit. Hey, good morning. Good afternoon. Sorry, good morning. Hey, what's up, Teresa? What's up, Little Lone, Daryl, Farmer, Rob? But then I asked myself, why would anyone brag about that? What have we brought into our society that, there was a time where we told young men and women not to reduce their value, not to use them, commoditize, I guess what I'm trying to say, commoditize themselves. And now we have people on, OnlyFans or on the internet or wherever the hell they do this, doing exactly that. I think one of the guys, you can go ahead, you have the right of way. One of the folks, I was talking to earlier today was like, it's almost like pay-per-view prostitution in some of these cases. And so no OnlyFans for me. And it's bigger than OnlyFans. I'm just bringing this point up. But we have some kind of crisis with the young people now, because they're doing stuff even when we were young we would not have been proud of. There's one young guy who apparently has money, so he has a bodyguard, and he's a live streamer, but it's not on YouTube. Hey, Jason, I don't know if he's on Twitch, or hey, Grit and Grace, hey, Kentucky. Daryl, not wrong. And we'll remove you because that makes no sense. That's funny. They put a bunch of gibberish in there. I'm like, I'm gonna kick you off. We've got one guy. He's a young Twitch streamer. I think it's Twitch. I don't know what the hell platform he's on. And he's this little skinny thing. His parents have money. So what he does, he goes into malls and he actually harasses people. And then when people get up, right, that was called being a punk when I was a kid, right? You didn't punk out. You took a beating or you watched your mouth. It was one of the two. And yeah, I saw that, Teresa. Thank you. And this guy, I actually watched him. He was walking in the mall and he puts his arms out like this. He almost looked like a scarecrow. Like, it was so obvious it was funny. And he was deliberately shoulder checking people. And one guy shoves him and here comes the goon and gets in his face of the third party guy. And the guy's like, what are you doing? I saw another streamer. These were both men or young men. They're boys, stupid boys at that. Also with security, and what he would do is he was going and smacking women's behinds in the mall when they were with their family, like with their kids. I'm not talking about some random hoochie on Bourbon Street, which you shouldn't be doing anyway. That's how you get arrested. But moms with the kids, and he even at one time went and asked a 14-year-old girl for an intimate act, a very rude intimate act, right in front of the mom, and then said, well, mom can do it too. So dad got in between, and here comes the security guys. And I'm thinking to myself, if I did that, and my dad found out, and my dad was a very patient, kind man, he was also a veteran, he would have ragdolled my ass when I got home. My son's new, but my son's got suspended defending young girls from boys like that, which I did not punish them at home, by the way. Like one of my boys knocked the crap out of 2 kids who were feeling up a girl in the high school. He knocked the crap out of both of them. And they said, well, you should have called the principal. He said, well, they were antagonizing her right there. And he intervened. And I told him in front of the principal, I said, if you got to suspend them, that's fine. I looked at him and said, you are not in trouble. And if they come after you again, I want you to beat them twice as badly. And I'm going to call a lawyer next time, and I'm going to sue every individual in this room. I'm going to subpoena individuals. I'm not going to subpoena the school district. I'm going to go after the people here, including that officer in the corner. And the cop bowed up on me. I'm like, I can subpoena you, dude, any day of the week. He did not like me after that. And I'm okay with that because that cop was worthless. But what have we taught these kids? This is a flex, apparently, or flex as they say now. To be a punk, to be a thug, to antagonize people knowing they really can't fight back, and then thinking that's cool. Spare the rod, spoil the child. Yeah. No, Kentucky, absolutely, 100%. And I'm thinking to myself, you know, I don't know these guys. If I saw a guy, if we were out as a family and I saw a guy shove my daughter-in-law while she was carrying my granddaughter, I would, in my mind, I would perceive that as a threat to their well-being in life. And I'd have every reason to. And, but then if I intervene and it becomes ugly, guess who's going to have to go to court and explain himself? It's going to be me. And I think these people, they count on that. They count on people not wanting to get in trouble. And I'm almost to the point of saying, you know what? Maybe we should get in trouble. Maybe we should get, and I told this to both my boys, I'm like, just because the law is the law doesn't mean it's right, nor is it righteous. I don't know if I'm saying that right, or if that makes sense to y'all. But there are going to be occasions where you're going to have to break rules to do the right thing. And, right, Kentucky, hey, Dan, hey, Daryl, doing right is wrong, doing wrong is right. So I looked up, you know, after seeing that meme from my buddy with the OnlyFans, and he was making jokes, but then we were like, you know, this girl has no idea what she's done to her life. Because you think about it, one day she may say, you know what, I want to have a family. And her kids may see that video 10 years from now. So I actually looked up an article that had the stats and I'm using OnlyFans as purely one example of the decay of our society. And it says 30% of college women, right, this young generation of women, are dropping out of colleges, citing they make more money on OnlyFans. That for a second. So let's say they do that from the age of 20 till they're 30, and then they try to go back to school into the job market. They're going to be competing against a much younger crowd who did not have that distraction. What if their kids see this stuff? You know, I'm trying to compute at what point this became okay to antagonize people and then hide behind security. And not doing it because they got in your way or they were where they weren't supposed to be. You're doing it purely for the drama of doing it. Yeah, as survival, exactly. You know, people ask me, you know, one mom, when my kids were growing up, they're like, how are you managing your kids? Because you got some rambunctious kids. And I was basically, my response was, gentle parenting is for gentle children. I don't have that. I have 2 Vikings and a Valkyrie, and I have to treat each of them according to what they challenge me with, right? And, you know, the way I'd approach my daughter in certain subjects was not necessarily the way I approached my son, not just because one was male and one was female, but because they were also different kids. I approached my sons a different way too. And most of the lessons seem to have stuck, because now I get comments from my now adult children going, Man, you know, I saw this kid do this shit, and I remember when I did it as a kid, and you were all up my ass. And I'm thinking to myself, that's why dad did that, because that little boy sucks. And you know, hearing that from my adult children is funny. Well, Kentucky, what if they go after a dad, this one of these Twitch streamer, whatever the hell streamer they are, they go and they hurt someone, like literally hurt someone. You know, they knock my wife down and she gets hurt, and I'm a carry guy, and I'm like, oh, you have a guard, guess what? I'm gonna smoke you, and your guard and I are gonna have a firefight right now, and I win. The next guy I'm coming after is the guy who started it. And people don't realize that it almost seems like after COVID, they say to create a new habit, like to break the smoking habit, or to get into the habit of going to the gym. No, Jason's absolutely right. Hey, Red Dog, sorry I didn't see you in there. What was I going to say? God, it almost seems like after COVID, we trained society, especially in the Western Hemisphere, for a year and a half of shutdowns, that it was okay to be horrendous on the internet. And now these people are out in public doing the same thing. And they don't realize trolling in person is very different from trolling on the internet, right? You can be all sorts of ugly on the internet, and then people just block you, and then you can come create a new account and start all over again. That doesn't work in real life. So there's this streamer, I think his call was Johnny Somali or something. He went to Korea and started basically molesting girls, like just grabbing their butts, saying rude things to them. And the Korean cops told him to go away, and he's like, I'm an American, I have rights. Not the right thing to say in a foreign country. And he shoved the cop, and the cops kicked his ass. They kicked this cameraman's ass, and then they threw him in jail. So he started crying that, well, the State Department needs to let me loose. State Department basically told him, you broke a law in a foreign country after you were given a verbal warning in English not to do it. So sucks to suck. You got to figure it out on your own. And I think it's going to cost him it's going to cost him like 50 grand to pay his fines, and he still has to go to jail for a while. One guy went to Israel and started smart-mouthing one of the Israeli lady cops, and she kicked his ass because the Israeli IDF girls apparently are very well trained, and she beat his ass, and then they took him to the ground also. And then they're shocked. They're shocked that they got a consequence. What have we done? When in Rome? Yeah, when in Rome. It's like we've taught them. We've taught a bunch, and it seems like this generation is going to extremes. There's one way off, very law and order, this is not the right way, and then there's these heathens. And it's almost sad, because I don't think these young people really realize 10 years from now how bad that's going to be. If I'm hiring someone and I know that the guy used to harass people as a living, I'm not going to hire him. I'll tell him straight up, you're a douchebag. I don't want you in my employee. I'm going to find someone who represent us in a professional way. When the kid went to Singapore and vandalized some stuff. Yes, there was another one in Singapore. One got caught in Singapore, one in Korea, and one in Israel of all places. Like, why would you go to the IDF and pick fights with them? That's so stupid. The only worse place than Israel to pick fights with cops is Russia, right? Because the Russian cops will beat the living tar out of you, and they don't care if it's on the internet. They'll play it on their own X account. They'll be like, hey, look what we did to the stupid American. Hey, Andy, what's going on? Yeah, and Red Dog, you have a point. We've created this environment, and now the pendulum is swinging. And I don't think they realize that the world's going to come around and kick them in the ass. So why am I bringing this up now? Is because this is the future generations, and they are not competent to handle adversity. They're not, a lot of these kids we're seeing on the internet are not competent to handle the things we're all prepping for, the things we talk about and say, wow, look at the flood, the tornado, terror attacks, whatever it is that may happen. Who the hell, how many of you had LA is gonna burn down on your apocalypse bingo card last November? We didn't see that coming. We're like, I don't know, Chinese are gonna EMP us. And no, LA burned down all by on its own. Like, complete regional disaster. Eventually crushes weakness. Yeah. Jason, you're absolutely right. So my challenge for me, and I'm going to share it with all of you, is when I do meet or interact with these younger crowds, I'm going to try to point out, hey, look at LA. I'm going to bring reality. Look what happened to those young kids partying in Bourbon Street. By the way, when I go to Louisiana, even at my age, I go to Bourbon Street. I do the same thing. I get a beer. I'm walking around, seeing the weirdness. And I joke with people I don't even know. I'm like, hey, what's up? Because we're all feeling no pain, right? But look what happened. You need to be cognizant of that. You need to look around you, even if you're having a good time. Do you have a first aid kit in your car? Do you know how to prep in an apartment where you don't have a lot of room? You can't homestead in an apartment. And to be honest, with the cost of living, some people can't afford a house. That's okay. You can prep where you are as best as you can. And I think anyone scold their little darling. Okay, so little known true story. So I told you I had a Valkyrie and 2 Vikings. So my daughter became mother hen with the brothers, and her and the youngest brother used to battle all the time. What's funny now, they're super tight. They're like this, those two. We stopped at a Mexican bakery, which is called a panaderia, and it was massive. I mean, they had rows and rows of stuff you pull with tongs out of the trays and you fill your little bag. She saw a boy carrying on and knocking stuff on the floor. Looked exactly like her brother from behind. She went over and smacked that boy with an open hand so hard that it took his hat off and put him into the display. And then she goes, dude, stop doing that. And then the boy turned around and she realized it was not her brother, it was some random ass kid. And she goes, oh my God. And I heard the oh my God, and I turn around and the mom of this kid looked at him, looked at her, looked at him and goes in Spanish, así es lo que te da. Basically, that's what you get. And then she said, it's okay. And my daughter was so mortified. She handed the tray to her actual brother and ran back to the truck. And of course, we had a good laugh and we apologized to the woman. My wife's like, I'm so sorry. She thought it was her brother. And she said, no, my son was misbehaving when I wasn't looking. Now he learned. We need to bring that back. We need to bring that back where you see someone else's kid being a dumbass and you correct the kid, you know, hey, don't do that, go over there, that we back that up. And another true story, I was a Cub Scout leader for both my boys for years. And one kid, as he hit his teenage year, became an absolute jackass. And he said something disrespectful to my wife in our yard. And I threw him out. I said, you go get your ass home. And he's like, I don't need to. I said, buddy, I'm going to warn you one more time. You were disrespectful to my wife. You're going to act like a big guy. I'm going to treat you like one. Now, you either leave or I'm kicking your ass. And then one of my boys is like, I'm going to kick his ass for what he said. So anyway, he got run off. And I didn't find dad's number, so I emailed mom because I had him on the mailing list. I'm like, hey, your boy came here and said this, not cool. Talk it over with your husband and maybe, issue a correction as you see fit. The dad called me and got ugly with me on the phone. I'm not going to beat my son. And I said, I didn't say to beat him, but I told all the parents when I was their Cub Scout leader that if I saw the kids going stray, I would let them know. My mistake. You handle your kid, but he's not welcome here, regardless of what you think. And good luck with him. And after that, I stopped talking to the dad. But I quit being a scout leader, not because of the little boys or the teenagers, because of the parents. So my challenge to all of you, Let's teach these young ones when we get a chance why we're doing what we're doing, why we think the way we think, because I think it's important that they understand this, because apparently a lot of their parents are not teaching them this stuff. So we can take the time, if we can, to do it. And like my dad once told me, some kids have parents who are garbage. So good men and women need to step up. So that's our challenge. That's one of my personal challenges, is to try and give guidance to any of the young ones that I see who may need it. And, you know, within reason, and try to do right by my community. Because again, the more people who are ready for emergencies, the less folks we all have to worry about. In any case, folks, I'll leave you with that thought. God bless you all. Be safe. And the Four Horsemen should be on Hudson Valley's channel tonight, 6:45 Central, so I guess 7:45 Eastern. And we will see you all later on. You guys be safe.